All right, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and get your language notebook. Label it at the top. And then on Schoology, I have given you a help sheet for our lesson today. It is called subject and verb agreement. I would suggest saving this to your iPad then. Yes, Sophia? It's going to be the JPEG one. There's also on Schoology the PowerPoint that I'm doing with today's lesson, and it's called also subject and verb agreement, and it'll have a PPT at the end of it standing for PowerPoint. All right, so a present tense verb must have subject-verb agreement to make sense, okay? And that's why I always talk to you guys about in your writings, listen to them in your head, say them out loud, because a lot of times it will sound funny, okay? So those subjects and verbs, if they're not agreeing with each other, if you have the wrong tenses, it will usually sound funny. You add S to most verbs if the subject is singular, meaning only how many? One, okay? So for example, and I know it kind of seems like opposite, like why would a singular noun, if most verbs you add an S then, you would think singular, then you wouldn't add an S to it, okay? But listen, the dog walks down the street. So I have a singular dog, one dog, and then my verb is going to get an S, walks. That sounds correct, right? The dog walks down the street.
Yes.
Would the dog walk down the street? Does that sound right? No. The dog walked down the street? No. If there's already an S on that verb, you wouldn't need to do anything to it, okay? You do not add an S if the subject is plural. So if I'm going to say more than one dog, so I'm taking dogs on a walk now, I just have walk with no S. The dogs walk down the street, okay? You do not add an S if your subject is using I or you. I walk the dog every day. You walk the dog on Tuesdays. Would it sound right? Listen to this. I walks the dog every day. It sounds funny, right? And that's kind of how you guys can be the best judgment on your verbs and nouns agreeing is what does it sound like? Listen for that sounding funny. You walks the dog on Tuesday. Does this sound right? No. Okay? I know you guys are old enough now. We've worked with our subjects and verbs since kindergarten. I know that you guys will be able to hear it and recognize if it sounds different, sounds wrong. All right. So I'm going to pull up this PowerPoint that's on Schoology. If you want to view it on Schoology instead, you can, but I'm going to have it up here on the screen. All right, subject and verb agreement. We want our words to get along. So a subject-verb agreement errors are very common in writing. A lot of times you guys don't catch them if after you write it, you don't go back and read your writing out loud, read it out loud in your head. These errors weaken a writer's ability to communicate effectively. And also, it's going to hurt your grade because I'm going to mark it wrong, okay? Fortunately, many of these mistakes can be fixed by paying attention to one simple rule. Let's make sure that we know what a subject and verb agreement, we need to know what a subject and verb are. So subject-verb agreement means that the subject and the verb in a sentence are used together correctly. Subject is the who or what of a sentence. Our verb is the action, what is happening in a sentence. Okay, subject, we also use the word noun. Okay. The simple thing to remember about subject-verb agreement is that singular subjects require singular verbs. And likewise, plural subjects require plural verbs. So let's look at some examples. Example 1, a singular sentence here. I have one person, he writes well. Notice this verb, though, has an S on it for my singular subject. Plural, meaning more than one person, I'm going to say we write well. Notice I don't have the S when I'm talking about my plural subject. That's making sure that they agree with each other then. Example 2, a singular subject, meaning she is going to the store. My plural subject, we, more than one person, are going to the store. Did my verb change? Did I add an S on that one? No. I didn't add an S, but look at, I have is versus are here. Okay? You guys are going to learn, as you guys get into middle school, there's a lot more complex rules with this. But right now, for 5th grade, we're just going to learn the basic. So let's do some examples together. You show me on your finger a 1 for A or a B. Show me a 2. So we, and say them out loud. We is going to the skating park. We are going to the skating park. I think one kind of sounds funny there. I see on fingers lots of 2s for B. Let's check. Nice. Show me again a 1 or a 2. We want to see the monster movie. We want to see the monster movie. I want to see everybody participating. I see lots of 1s. He was late for his bus this morning. He were late for his bus this morning. Show me a 1 or a 2. I see lots of 1s. She is the new champion, or we is the new champion. So this one, they gave you the verb. You had to find the subject that agreed with that verb. I see lots of 1s. So can you guys hear how it sounds funny if that subject and verb aren't agreeing? Make sure, especially for a test or a quiz, you're saying each option out loud. Notice I'm not going to say, he wished that the rain would stop. I'm not going to read just one option. I'm going to make sure I read all the options. Even if I thought A was the correct one, I still want to hear the other option to see if maybe it sounds better. They wish that the rain would stop. 1 or 2. I see lots of 2s. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have a worksheet on Schoology. It is 10 problems on subject and verb agreement. You also have, yesterday I assigned to you to revise your informative writing. You still have today to finish working on those revisions. It should be in your language notebook. Remember to use the paper that I post on Schoology. Remember, you're reading it out loud to yourself. You're taking those notes. Okay, you're underlining and highlighting. And then you're making those adjustments, making those revisions. Mason, go ahead. Okay? Those 2 things for language. Any questions?
Do we have to edit? Or
No, good question. You are not editing yet. We'll do that next. Yep, good question.
It's not a question, but like what I did for mine, I just said each color meant what it is. So purple means like it's good, and then yellow means like it's not needed to be there.
Nice. I love that you use different colors. So she used different colors on her revising to mark things that were good, things that did not need to be there. I know on your sheet that I gave you guys had to mark things that you thought were boring, things that maybe were confusing. Okay? All right. Any other questions for language? All right. You guys have some work time to go ahead and get those done.